being inspired by the books and stuff like that. And talking about books and reading, like you said, what is one of your favorite books to read if someone is starting out on this like journey, like of like entrepreneurship or becoming an artist, whatever it is? What would you recommend for them?
I would say Relentless by Tim Grover.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've read it, but Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal trainer. And then he went on to train like the Bulls and Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant and like many others. But um, the book is incredible. It gives you, I think there's 13 uh, like laws, so to speak, of
Hmm.
what the highly successful people do. And he breaks it down into three categories of coolers, closers, and cleaners. Cleaners being like the relentless types, and then coolers being kind of the go with the flow, let life take them where it does kind of people. Uh,
Gotcha.
and is really interesting. And even if you don't want to be, the best in the world at whatever it is you do, I think it's really interesting to get an insight into what that's actually like.
Wow. I'm gonna have to check out that book for sure. I already like it a lot
Should.
because
Yeah.
I feel like everyone needs that kind of energy to be relentless sometimes and
Yeah.
identify those things like where you are. You get me in that chart or in that spectrum, right? That's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure. Um, cool. And the whole bed, and then another thing you mentioned too was the bed thing, like the like going to sleep on time. Damn, like
Yeah.
that hit me right here because I struggle too. I be sleeping like really late, and I wake
Yeah.
up really late too, and I don't get work done. So I feel like that's also super important, and it ties into
Yeah.
self development, self improvement. I mean. So that's
Definitely.
interesting that you bring that up. I feel like that's so underrated, and it's pretty real.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I wake up later than like 10 a.m., I will feel like crap and the rest of my day will be impacted because of it. So,
Wow.
first for me, it was getting up early, and now it's more going to sleep at the same time, like around between 10 and 11,
Mhm.
which I never used to be able to do. Like, I used to be up, I used to love pulling all nighters in my first few
Yeah.
years of university. And
Yeah.
so moving into now where I'm trying to have, instead of doing one night of working really hard, I'd rather be able to work hard for the next, you know,
Yeah.
many years of my life. So that's really important, but it's still something I'm working on. Like I'm by no
Yeah.
means an expert or the master of going to sleep early or even like having consistent schedules because I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me.
Gotcha. Wow. Same here. Same here. And I think our audience as well, I think this is why they follow us sometimes. Why they look at us is because they want to change too, right? And we
Yeah.
also have to change too in order to recommend things or give advice, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. So bottom line with that question, exercise to clear your mind, be more sharp, positive, have more mental focus, right? Reading a chapter a day, right?
Yeah.
Reading a chapter a day to keep your mind sharp, to keep that mindset going, to give up those bad habits that are not benefiting us in any way, right? And going to sleep on time and make sure we have good sleep so that we can do all of those things, right? And
Yeah.
cool,
Exactly.
cool. So this is the last question right here. I really love that question too. The one we just talked about. That was a really
Yeah.
good question. I
Me
think it'll
too.
help our audience definitely. So the last question is, what role does self belief play in achieving your goals as a musician?
So my transition into the music industry was inspired by Russ. And
Russ.
yeah,
Uh, Russ, right? I love
yeah,
Russ, by the way.
yeah,
Mhm.
he's great. And a lot of it was I started with his music, and then I read his book, and it's all about, oh, well, not all, but it's mostly about self belief. And so I would probably say it's the number one thing you need that would make or break your success.
Damn, that
It
is
just,
fact.
starting is the hardest part. And like we said, like when you're starting, there's a lot of it. Nobody's really going to be seeing what you're doing. Just being honest, you're not going to have a lot of a big audience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, when you're
You
starting
probably
off.
yeah. So a lot of it just comes from yourself and not letting yourself quit because there's not a big audience. If anything, use it as like practice. think like, these are like the practice reps before you get into the actual game when there's actually people watching you. So yeah, self-belief, I'd say, is the biggest thing, that if you don't have it, you won't, or if you don't develop it, you won't be able to achieve the big goals, or like, it also depends on the scope of your goals. But I think if you're going into music, you probably want to be one of the best in the world. And maybe that's just my mindset on it. But
yeah, that's good.
So I think like self-belief is that one lever that if you actually have it, you'll see, or develop it, you'll see the big change. I also think it's something you need to continuously work on, because, self-belief, you can have it one day and wake up the next day and not feel so much of it. So that's part of why I read so much, because a lot of what I read is based on personal development, and it will refill my self-belief. Does that make sense?
Heck yeah, it does.
Okay.
I feel like that's why reading is so important. So we can believe in ourselves, because I feel like the biggest problem is, when we consume media so much, we tend to compare ourselves, like, oh man, look at this guy, he just made it, and who knows, maybe that same artist that made it is doing the same habits that you're doing.
It's true.
Exercising, reading, self-belief, working on all of that. And some people think that, I don't need to read to be successful. What is that? And that's what I feel like media sometimes keeps us away from. Like, we're scrolling on TikTok, we're not being positive, but we could be reading something to work on our craft and our self-belief.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually didn't have TikTok until like 4 days ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe this could be the first post, one of the first posts or something.
It will be, because for me, I just saw it as a distraction. And it was like what we talked about. And so not having that in my life, it was easy for me to start this journey that way. Now I want to use it as another tool for exposure. So like another social media platform, right? But now I think I have a lot more mental toughness to like not scroll through my For You page for hours, and instead like focus on other things.
Definitely. So what was that book from Russ that you read? Can you like mention that one?
Oh, It's All in Your Head. It's All in Your Head. Yeah.
Okay, cool. By Russ?
Yes. Oh yeah, it's a really easy read, and each chapter is related to a song. It's super cool.
Gotcha. I love that. I'm about to check that one too. Also, one of the things that I like what you said was that belief is what makes or breaks you. That is so important. I feel like it is a battle of belief. A lot of times when we go out there to sell, or we go out there to promote our services, or as an artist, we're being attacked by these enemies. Not literally, right? But that try to tear down our beliefs in ourselves, and it's a constant battle of that. And it does determine whether it breaks. You let them break you, or you have so much belief where you don't even feel that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what reading and like working on yourself does. And another thing that you said is think of it as practice. Oh my God, so many people don't want to start social media pages, or don't want to promote their craft.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it as practice. They want to go viral right in the first video.
Yeah.
And that mindset needs to go. You need to practice, right? Do the reps like you said until you get to the place you want to be at. And that's so underrated for sure.
A mindset change for me, two recently that I've had. One is thinking in hundreds. So that is from Alex Hormozi as well. So instead of just counting like, okay, great, you made one post, think about when you make 100 posts and how much better you'll be at that point. Right? I think at this point I probably made like 300 pieces of content or so.
Wow.
And now I'm starting to feel like I have a solid handle on some aspects of it, but I know I can always get better. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I saw in a video recently from Iman Gadzhi is he was talking about how a lot of people who have never started a business want to start $1 million business or a $10 million business, right? But if you don't think about it in steps, like first you have to make your first 1,000, and then you can make your first 10,000, and then you can make your first 100,000. And like, you have to kind of go at it that way instead of just going into it thinking, okay, I'm going to make $1 million this year when you never started a business. Like the odds are stacked against you, right?
Gotcha.
So tying into the self-belief aspect, I think a lot of it, and what you said about people not wanting to post or not wanting to start something, is that you have to go at it in levels, like go at it in steps instead of thinking, this first post I'm going to make is going to have 5 million views when like it's a possible, I guess, but it's very likely it's not going to be that way.
Yeah. And that's funny because that reminds me of what Gary Vee said once. He said on a way to grow your page, your social media page, is to not go viral. Think of it like, I'm not going to go viral on this. And like you said, thinking in the hundreds, right? Think of it as practice.
Yeah.
You have to get used to behind the camera. You know what I'm saying? No, and to be honest, at first, when you're first starting to build your social media page, let's be real, no one's going to look at it yet.
No, exactly.
No one's going to look at it yet, bro.
No, and like 15 people that might view your reel. So what if you embarrass yourself in front of 15 like people that don't even know you? If you can't do that, then you won't be able to build a million people following.
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because I used to be like that too when I was first starting.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the page that I reached out to you on, I'm barely building that one. And I have another one where I build organically. I have 1,000 followers in that one, but it's like a separate page. And I wanted to kind of prove that I can build too,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's like my challenge, I guess. But I did the same thing that you said, thinking in hundreds and thinking of it as practice. And I didn't want to go viral. I'm like, I want to create the habit. I want to keep creating. And, later on, I got like 100K views. And I started like on one video and I was like, what? Like, just because I didn't want to go viral and I didn't care if I look cringe or not. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. I was so embarrassed when I started making content. I was terrified. And it was a huge mental block for me. Like, because I knew that it would make a big difference in my business and like a brand. Because I barely had a brand because I wasn't posting any content. Yeah. So, like, when I also started to view brand as being the biggest thing in my, because like I'm fairly young, so I want to be able to build this brand for the rest of my life. And knowing that I'm starting now just means I have time on my side. So the earlier you start, the more time that you have to develop it.
I really like that. I need to start earlier too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna apply that too.
I think we all feel that way. I mean, I now wish I started like 4 years ago.
Yeah. And that's cool. So you've written like 300 posts worth of content, huh?
Yeah.
And you've posted that many? Wow. Okay.
I'm now doing once a day, but when I started in August, it was like 3 times a week. But I already have like most of my content for next month too. That's the thing. Gotcha. Once you kind of get to a point when like you're able to schedule ahead of time, like I try to do like a month's worth of content beforehand so that like before March even started, I had most of my content done. That's where I want to be. It took me a while to get here, but that's where I want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like that a lot. Another thing you said too was continually work on your self-belief.
Yeah.
And again, like reading, right? What other things can you say that can get someone started to work on their self-belief?
I would say,
like, what tools can they use, or what habits can they start getting into, start helping themselves?
I would dive into 2 things. First, I'll go back to the exercise aspect, because the more that you, I guess the more that you work out and you feel better about yourself as like your body, then you will have like increase your self-belief and your confidence. And then the other thing is just like get results in whatever it is you do, whether if it's like, for example, for me, if it's just making beats, right? Then I can go and try to make, the first 5 beats I can accept are going to be crap. And the first 10 or 50.
Yeah.
But just the idea that you keep pushing at it, because I think a lot of self-belief and confidence comes from results. And a lot of people just don't have the results to be confident.
Damn, that is facts. I'm writing this down. Like,
no, that's right. Yeah, so I think, I don't think I wouldn't have had as much confidence when I started my business, because I had 0 clients. But then once I had like 5 clients, then it was like, okay, I have more confidence because I've done this now a couple of times. I've worked with people. I have the results to back up the confidence.
Could you say even like small victories can help with that too?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the more things that you can track, the more wins that you can have. So whether it's like impressions or followers or likes or something, that's just good content, right?
Yeah.
And the more things that you track, the more ways that you can have little wins or success.
I like that. The more things that you track. That's the thing. A lot of
Yeah.
people that are starting out don't do those things. They don't track. They don't
Yeah.
think like, okay, why did this video not like get views? Like, what can I do different?
Yeah.
Because I like to see it as it's not the algorithm, it's the audience. When you think of it like that, because we like to blame the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
man, the algorithm, it's for time, but no, sometimes it's the audience that just didn't like it or wasn't enough for them to see it. So sometimes you have to think like that, and that kind of ties into like what you just said.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for it because they think it's a bad thing if they take responsibility, like it's a negative for being accountable. But I think if
Yeah,
you take accountability, then you can
gotcha.
actually be in control of the solution. Versus if you never take responsibility for something, the problem or the issue will never get solved.
Damn. Ouch. It's true though, man.
Yeah.
It's true. Accountability is important
I'd
for
see
all of
that one a
it.
lot.
Yeah, and this is why people get burnt out. They don't take accountability for their content. Like they don't try different things because they just want to do it one way. Just think one way.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So what I'm getting from that is be consistent, but also be accountable with each piece of content you make. Okay, like why didn't this get views, right? Like track it. Why? Okay, maybe I need to try something different. And keep that consistency going. I think that's how you get results. And when you get results, you get self-belief and you want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really great.
One thing that I've noticed that's helped me a lot is like in YouTube, the retention graphs. That shows me in terms of my content, what parts are standing out to people, where are there spikes, like, where are people really dropping off? Because the ways that you can shorten or take out where there are dips or understand why it's a dip, then you can eliminate that in future content. So a lot of it also goes down to the analytics too. Like, I think tracking the numbers is really important.
Heck yeah. I think I heard Mr. Beast say in a video that he would do that a lot too. He would track numbers and he would constantly think about like, how can I improve consistently? How can I make it better? And then he was saying that like at some point in his life, he was saying that like, if they're not talking about tracking numbers on YouTube, then I'm not having a conversation with anybody. Because he was obsessed with just getting good at YouTube. And that's like hard, tracking down your videos, tracking down your accountability. What can I do better?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the root of success, Wow.
Definitely. I love Mr. Beast. When it comes, like, he's so great when it comes to like YouTube tips and everything. Yeah. Because YouTube, I'm just getting into now. So for me, that's like my newer platform. Instagram, I feel okay with, but I still also have the mindset of just growth, right? Like I can always improve. So
exactly. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Beast and all these top dogs, like artists, always say the same thing. How can I improve? Even when there are like a billion views, a billion like plays, how can I improve?
Exactly.
That's a good habit to have too, That's so great, man. Wow. So that's all the questions for today. And wow, like I learned so much. Like I guess in summary, one of the best things that I feel that you said was the whole feedback thing and detaching to not let anyone control how you feel. Listen to the people that like the top dogs that actually have results and don't listen to the haters that are not doing anything. Right?
Yeah.
And another one is habits. I feel like the title for that would be you are what your habits is, right?
Yeah.
So you determine someone's success or somebody depending on their habits. And you kind of give a structure on that: exercise, reading, going to bed on time, right? Another one was constantly work on your self-belief, which I love a lot. Belief is what makes or breaks you. I love that too. And then you recommended some books too: Relentless by Tim Grover, All You Need by Russ, and could I just say Thinking in Hundreds by Alex who?
Oh, Alex Hormozy. Actually, if you check out his books, it's $100 million offered and $100 million leads.
Oh, okay, cool. Maybe you can put the books in your in your description. Yeah, so that way other people can read the books you read too. Because
Sure.
you're on the way to success, to be honest. Just by the way you're telling me things and answering these questions.
Oh,
Wow,
thank
not a lot
you.
of people think this way, man. I know I didn't think this way, like not that long ago, like a year ago. I know I didn't even believe in books. Like, how can you get rich off of books? Or how can you improve anything off of books? You
Yeah.
know? And there's a large population that don't believe in books, you know? So I guess the last closing question that I would like to ask for you and my audience is what are like the last advice that you would give to somebody that right now is struggling to grow, as like the closing questions, just to like kind of add it all up.
So I think in business, and also if you're a content creator, I think you should still think of it as running a business, right?
Yeah.
There's always like a list of constraints, right? Like I think I had a mentor tell me this is just a series of constraints, right? So if you're struggling to grow, then I would try to think about it logically. So like, what is the biggest constraint that's not letting you grow, not letting you get past, 10K a month or 3,000 followers or whatever the constraint is, or the goal it is that you're going to achieve. Think about what is that biggest constraint and how can you relieve that? That is what I would think. So if it's, as an example, if you're looking to grow your following and maybe your biggest constraint is you're just not posting like enough, maybe you're posting 3 times a week, right? Like if you think about it, there are people that are posting 7 times a day, right?
Yeah.
So, like the really successful big content creators. So if we are trying to compete with them, which essentially you are, then I would try to think in the sense of constraints. Like, what is the series of constraint that is blocking you from getting to the next level at this point?
Wow. I really love that. Oh my gosh. You're really good.
Thank you.
What is the biggest constraint? How can you relieve that? Damn,
Yeah.
that's going to help your audience a lot too if they're starting out. I think that's really helpful and valuable. And so once again, I want to thank you so much for hopping on board. I learned a lot from you, Ange. And again, like and subscribe or like and follow for like more videos like this on entrepreneurship and, just self-improvement, because I feel like me and you are constantly trying to improve and trying to be better and fulfill our purposes out here,
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for, inviting me to be on this. And it was really exciting and I loved this conversation. So I'd love to do more stuff like this too.
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot more questions. That was the spot.